Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we are looking at play props here on Friday to close out the work week. NBA Cup action. So keep that in mind as you're placing those bets today. Got the best bets video up as we do on top of this player props each and every weekday. So go ahead and make sure to subscribe to that page and don't miss out on either as we roll through this NBA season. Also got NFL player props. So make sure to check those out on the channel alongside all the great football content we are rolling with in the NFL. So Nate, pretty good night last night for the kids, 3-1 in the player props. Let's keep it rolling here with your first one, talking about this Hawks game.
Talk about Jalen Johnson, a guy we always like to take when it's kind of a fast-paced, fun game. And I mean, it's the Bulls. It is maybe the highest total of the season so far, 245.5. I don't know if I've seen one that high.
Higher. Yeah.
Bulls, Hawks. Obviously, the Bulls number one in pace. They allow juicy stat lines all over the place. Most assists overall, most points to power forward. So yeah, I'm taking the whole bundle here, 32.5 PRA for Jalen. And it's even better because Pat Williams is out for the Bulls. And I mean, he is maybe their only plus defender. Io is pretty good on the wing, and they got some guys coming off the bench, but that's not the way they want to play this year by like locking down. They just want to get up and down, shoot a bunch of threes, have fun. So in the last meeting, JJ did go under this 26-5, but that was with Williams out there, and he was a team high or best in the starting lineup, plus 11. So he did a pretty good job on there. And I mean, Johnson otherwise is going over this on average pretty easily. His last 9, 21 points, 10 rebounds, 5.6 assists. His assist rate this season, much more involved as a glue guy, a playmaker without DeJounte Murray there. It's gone up to 22%. That's up 7%. He's getting 6.7 dimes per 100 possessions. And then when you factor in that the Bulls play well over 100 possessions per game, that's giving them a lot of opportunities against a team that, again, gives up the most raw assists per game. And he seems to be okay. I mean, he was questionable with the illness, right, against the Warriors, but still got to 33 PRA in a complete blowout. So, like, little extra rest in the fourth quarter. Now a game that's expected to be competitive, NBA Cup game, yada, yada, high total. Love Jalen Johnson here.
Yeah, I do too. I looked at him, and the only thing that kept me from just betting on him, to be honest, is DeAndre Hunter's presence. But it's more unknown. Like I dove into it, and I can't find a sort of more supporting evidence on one side or the other for the DeAndre Hunter impact on Jalen Johnson. So this season with DeAndre Hunter, under in 3 of 4, but it's also like the first 3 games of the season where DeAndre Hunter played, then he missed a whole bunch, then he came back for one, and that happened to be a game that JJ went under. So I don't know. Last season, he had a big impact on him as well, but also last season, JJ wasn't as good as he is this season. So and DJ Murray was just taking all of the potential usage. Bogey was out there for more minutes, and he's playing this season as well. So there's a lot more room. I mean, he's the number 2. Jalen Johnson is the number 2 on this team. I wish they would just stop playing DeAndre Hunter until he's off this team. He's now a curse to Jalen Johnson because he's just in the way, man. They're in the same spots on the floor too often. DeAndre Hunter is just in the way. So I don't know that that's going to impact this. I love this bet. This team is terrible against power forwards. Say what you want about Pat Will. They've been giving up points to power forwards forever. So I don't even know if it's better that he's out. But either way, like this is a spot for JJ that he should crush where he's playing this fast-paced game. So this is gonna be a fun one, man. I'm definitely gonna be having this one on one of the channels there. But let's go to Pascal. We hinted towards him in the other video. I'm gonna take an under for him. I'm taking under 27.5 PR for Pascal, which can be scary to take unders in an NBA Cup with like a 237 total in this game. I don't care. Pascal, this is not a good spot for him. So the 2 things here. The points is the main thing that led me to the under for Pascal. The Bucks are giving up the second fewest points per game to that position. They have been for the last 3 years, probably because Giannis Antetokounmpo is in there, and in the last 3 or 4 years has won a number of Defensive Player of the Years. So that would probably lead to the position that he's guarding not scoring very many points. But in addition to that, that position, that play type where you're either trying to post up or play a little bit from the perimeter as sort of an in and out, a pick and pop guy for Pascal. Like we've seen him do a lot of pick and pop for him as opposed to the roll, which is what I would imagine they're going to try to do in this game as well, is the pick and pop, because who wants to go down low against this Bucks defense where the only place on the floor that this Bucks defense is good is close to the basket because they play drop D and they've got the bigs to do it. So that's what Pascal needs. Like if you're going to collapse the paint, he's not going to be a good enough 3-point shooter to get you there. He's gone under very consistently against Giannis specifically, and actually hasn't played Giannis yet on the other than one game and went under. So The other thing about the rebounds that I love is what I found, and that's why I added it. I was originally just going to go with the points, and then I saw the difference between Pascal rebounding with Miles Turner in the game and with Miles Turner not in the game, and I can't ignore that either at this point. In the 13 games that Miles has played this season, under the 7.5 boards that he would need in 10 of 13, averaging 5.7 in that situation. The PR, similar hit rate, under a 9 of 13 at 20 at the 26.5 number there, or 27.5 rather. So I like that. The rebound chances are only about 10 per game with Miles out there. So for him to average 10 to 11, get 8 boards off of that, I don't really like that number for him against a good Bucks rebounding team right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep going with an under in a spot that is perfect to fade the opposing power forward against Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason I'm willing to fade the Pacers altogether here is because I don't expect Siakam to have much success. We talked about, right? I mean, he had that big game in game 1 of their playoff series, and then the Bucks pretty much shut that down from then on, and that was without Giannis. So now, I mean, also just kind of looking at this, if you want to take a Pacers over, I just saw Benny Matz is plus 100 to hit 2 threes. To hit 2 threes. I mean, I know he hadn't taken a lot lately. Yeah, I was like, is that a pricing mistake?
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't been hoisting a lot lately, but in this matchup, he will because of those drop defense tendencies you talked about. Milwaukee actually gives up the most threes to shooting guards. Nice payout for Zach LaVine in that last matchup. I took over 2.5, and now we're getting 1 fewer on a guy who's also going to be gunning. So make that a little bonus pick here for us.
I like it.
Plus 100. I've also got 2 picks here for the Sixers. Guys not named Joel Embiid who are going to score. Jared McCain over 23.5 points, assists. Minus 105, nice odds there. You can eat the juice as well, and I think take Tyrese Maxey to get 15. Like that's the lowest line we'll see for Tyrese Maxey. I think the rest of the way, I don't know, if he came back a little bit too soon from that hammy. He's only able to go 20 minutes against Memphis, but now back home, a bit of a rivalry spot, and Embiid might not be able to go, right? You're saying he missed shoot around. He's just out there moping around, pissed that somebody leaked the story that Maxey called him out. And now Maxey got to back it up, right? I mean, if he called him out for his effort and for his timeliness. But either way, I mean, I think both these guys are going to have success. Like, I don't think Maxey's return is going to relegate McCain in any way, especially not when Lowry and Paul George are both out, right? I mean, with Lowry out, McCain still plays 41 minutes and started in that last game. Now PG out as well. So, I mean, in the last 5 with guys in and out, McCain's been the best player for the Sixers. 25 points per game in 35 minutes. Also 5 dimes, 27% usage. The Nets, if Claxton can't go, they're going to really struggle to protect the rim. They have for the last 4 without him, right? 128 defensive rating is worst in the league. And they're also giving up 17 threes at 42%, which is where McCain will be able to just kind of kick it out, swing it around the perimeter, get some dimes that way. And they allow the 6th most points to point guards on the season. If Embiid does play, I still like McCain to get like an easy 20 here because Embiid is just living on the elbow, right? He can't move. He can't get going down low. He's just like, please give me the ball on the elbow, and I'm going to take 1 jab, and I'm going to shoot. And that's like about my whole game right now. And it's consistent, but it just kind of opens space up for fast guys, both these fast guys, to just go around him, go around all that clogged up traffic, get right to the lane. And if there's no rim protection for the Nets, they should both have success doing that.
Yeah. If there's no rim protection, for sure, that's a big part of that for at least for Maxey for sure, and then for McCain, who's definitely a better shooter off the dribble and in the spot up, doesn't really need others around him to get him going. Definitely the pull up. That's the thing that he's been so much better at. So yeah, I think McCain was a good find, and then if you just get Maxey at 14.5 points, I do want to see if there's like a legit minutes restriction on him tonight. See if there's any news coming out from Nick Nurse and company about that, but. Also, not really, like if he plays 22 minutes, 23 minutes, I still think he's good for 15 points. He'd have to basically be in a cast or a walking boot for me to not feel that way about him. So let me go to the Celtics game. Proceed with caution, 15.5 point spread against Washington in Washington. What if they don't try that hard, though? I don't know. Jaylen Brown, over 23.5 points. You can get that at minus 120 at this point. It actually has gone down a little bit from minus 130, which if you're taking an under on this one, Godspeed. But like, I'm basically just attacking a dude who, like, you can say, is the effort going to be there from Jaylen Brown? And I know that's been a question at times. Not like he's like a lackadaisical player, but he's on a very good team with very good players and doesn't always have to bring it. I don't think it matters in this game. And I think this is actually a Jaylen Brown kind of game. And I'm actually interested in your opinion as a C's fan, like, because when I see Jaylen Brown play against a team that he's like, just licking his chops because he knows there's nobody that's going to get in his way going to the rim, then that's a great play for Jaylen Brown, effort or not. Like, he's going to bully you to the rim as soon as he sees that opening. And like, whether it's Joval or Sarr, there's nobody out there that's going to protect the rim. That's why this Washington team is 30th limiting rim field goal percentage. So if you get inside 5 feet, you're going to make your shots there. At about 72% of the field goals that are taken inside of 5 feet versus this team go in. And that's what Jaylen Brown does. He drives in the top 5 percentile of the league. I believe he's like 7th most in terms of drives to the rim per game, about 15 of those per game. And he's not passing on those drives. He passes about 30% of the time. He's going up with it about 70. He's taking about 9 shots per game off of this play, which is what you do to score against the Wizards. Just get into the lane and get to all the way to the rim. You don't got to stop in the extended paint. You look at the way that they defend, which is not well. They are 24th limiting transition buckets. They're second to last in free throw attempt rate given up to their opponent. So free throws are going to be available for Jaylen Brown. I love free points for him to get over 24. And the pick and roll ball handler, which he does more so on the second unit in the second quarter once Jason Tatum's out, right? The rotation, Tatum and Brown. Tatum plays basically the whole first quarter. Brown plays the first 8 minutes. Brown comes out, comes back in the second quarter when Tatum sits 2 minutes in. Like, it's a very clear-cut rotation. And for JB to be going up against these backups for Washington for any amount of time is awesome. And you're going to see plenty of everybody in Washington. What we've seen since Malcolm Brogdon has come back is that Bub Carrington is leading this team in minutes. And that's in part because they've been getting blown out. And so Bub Carrington starts and finishes regardless of the score of the game at the end of the game. In fact, I'm starting to talk myself into some Bub Carrington stuff because he's at like 8.5 points. And I think he's good for 30 to 35 minutes more than anybody on this Washington team. He's more blowout proof because he plays with the starters, but he also plays with the backups. They just want Bub to get more runs. So that's going to be what we see here is like, don't take guys that you are scared of. Like Al Horford, that's a fade. There's no reason for him to play. Peyton Pritchard, that might be a backing, even though his props have gotten super high. But I think JB is the one that really forces the issue on offense and gets them there in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers back it up. You look at when they get 2 days rest, which they have since this Cavs game. I mean, he was up to 25 points, 2.5 more than last year, down 1 assist per game. Much higher in terms of usage, much higher shooting percentage. And then he averaged 27 against Washington with just 2.5 assists. So like you're saying, not seeing any resistance, seeing a clear path to the rim. The Celtics are home, Sunday, Monday, back-to-back, Wolves, Clippers. So to your point, like I could see some veterans getting a little time in the second half, but JB is like the tone setter. He's the first half guy, right? I don't know if Tatum really needs to stress himself here. He seems to be on MVP campaign, so I think he might save a little bit. But either way, I mean, I think they can go small against this Wizards team, right? JB can and then exploit those smaller lineups on the other end and just continue to attack the rim.
Yeah, you're making a really good point about looking at the upcoming schedule for this team too. And just adding to the point about JB that helps support it. When he played against Evan Mobley the other day, I was late to it, but over 3.5 assists for him against the Cavs was like plus 110. And it was like, well, he's playing Mobley. This is a guy that can defend him a little bit better, that will keep him from just walking into the rim and scoring. So he had 7 dimes in that game and only took like 11 shots. But now, I mean, he's super cerebral. So he's going to take advantage of the situation. I'm excited for the JB play. And you got me thinking that the backups overs and maybe like an Al Horford unders is even more of a better play than I realized with the upcoming schedule stuff. So good luck there. But that's all the time we got in NBA play props. Quick reminder to subscribe to that page, though, so you don't miss these play props, the NFL play props. And we also got best bets in a separate one for NBA here for Friday. So check all that out. And until we see you next, happy betting.